Welcome back, guys. This is obviously episode number 2, and this time we're going to be using Illuminated Models AL08Y, which is cab lights in yellow, as you can see there. Obviously what we're going to be doing is fitting them to this class 56, which we've, if I show you, previously fitted a DCC decoder to. As you can see there, it's all wired in, nice and easy. We just put a bit of heat shrink on that to tidy the cables up for the minute. But yeah, looking forward to the cab light fitting. Obviously this is missing the light lenses, which is going to be another future video on class 56. So with this being the Hornby version, it's remove the light lenses and then the cab should come straight out. Then you're obviously left with the cab and the light lenses. Now what I have got here is just a few short bits of wire, 4 of them in fact, and this kit here is a pair, so you get 2, 1 for each end. But yeah, first things first, making sure that, as you can see, the glass, putting a recess in there so we can fit the cab light. Now most people could pop it out or try cutting it in. The problem with that, I find, is you end up putting stress fractures up the glasswork. So take the soldering iron. Some people might not advise it, but what you can do is just carefully, when the soldering iron's on, just carefully glide your way through it, basically melting away at the plastic. Obviously make sure you're doing this in a well ventilated room. I've got a window open up the top. Be careful not to touch the soldering iron parts. If anything, just support yourself. I'll just do this side quickly, just to get rid of the excess. And once you've put these in, you can either get a pair of pliers like I've got here, being a bit cock-handed, and just break out the plastic recess. Might need a bit more work doing to it, which I think it does. So what I'll do is I'll cut back into once I've got this light lens bit here out. Welcome back. That didn't take too long. So what we've done is just, if you can see with the camera, just melted around where the cab lights are going to go at either end. And obviously in taking out the other side of the cab, turns out the previous modeler fitted 2 people inside it, so that saves me a job. So if I move the loco out of the way, and now we're going to look at doing the next part, which will be actually wiring these in. So if I open them and get it sorted, we just crack on with the build. Right then, so these 2 circuit boards here are what we're going to use today. So first things first, what we're going to do is just tin the solder pads. Yet again, they're quite large, so it should be easy to solder no matter what your skill is. Oops, that one's just jumped. We'll just tin that one. Obviously I have prepared some jumper wires, some red and black, make it easier for people to see. But actually on the circuit board itself, whether you can see, there is a positive and a negative side. So obviously positive's red, black's negative. So if we just solder these on, should be able to crack on. So I'll just quickly solder these on. Yet again, just trim any excess on your wire tails just to stop any shorting. But that's a straightforward, like before, just warm it up so it melts, drop it on, leave it to cool. Same with that side. So that's one set. The next set, yet again, we'll just cut these to suit. And then we solder these on. Quite a simple job, nothing too tedious with that. Like that. So now it comes to actually fitting these in the locomotive. You can try a number of different things. Epoxy, super glue, double-sided tape. Whatever best suited to and whatever you've got lying around. So what we do for the moment is we just super glue them in place, and then we will go from there. So it's just a little dab of super glue on the back, and then just lay it in, and just hold your finger on it for a couple of seconds while it glues. And we'll do the same with the other one, and they'll be ready to install. Welcome back. Now they're since fitted in. I cheated a bit and just used double-sided sticky tape in each of them. But one thing now, or the next thing we've got to do, is obviously where Hornby moulded these, or back when tooling was done, we've got to take a little notch out of here for the cables. So same principle again. Take your soldering iron and just slowly just put 2 little grooves in it. You can tidy them up later. Just enough for the power cables to go through, like so. And then leave it to cool for a couple of seconds. So if you look, you've got your 2 power cable grooves. Then just get a pair of snips just to take off any residue, like so. And then as well, you can do the back just to make it a neat job. So they're flush like that. Out, just stabbed myself. So then from that we can then fit these, now they're nice and flush, into the locomotives, and then we're ready to wire it up with the 8-pin decoder we fitted in the last episode. So if I just quickly push fit that in, and we will go from there. Just a bit of trouble with the handrails, but they should fit. Maybe wrong one. No. So we're back now. That took a bit more time than what we first expected. But now the cab lights are in, cabs are in. It's now time, I'll bring the loco back in, to wire this up to this 8-pin socket, which you can see just right there. Now what we're going to do is run these on the F1 function, or the function which isn't controlled by directional lighting. So both of these will come on at the same time when the function's pressed. For analog use, there'll be another video showing how you can obtain this, because obviously the polarity will change, blah de blah de blah. But for this video with digital, it's quite a simple task. All we do is, like with most of this, we tin the tabs that we're going to use, which will be AUX1, which we'll just tin now. Be careful not to burn any of the other wires. If the solder, yep. And then what we're going to also do is do function C, or F1, on this chip. Yet again, being careful not to burn any of the wires, like so. Just a bit of solder there we remove. Then it's quite a nice simple task. You take the positive leads, which is the 2 red ones, and twist them together. Obviously you can only use one cab light if you want, there's no need to use both, just use both depending on direction of running. And what we're going to do is take the positive and we're going to put them on the solder tab of aux plus. Obviously as the decoders run a common positive, and then we're going to take the 2 black wires and twist them together, and we're going to solder them to function C. Sorry, my fingers are in the way. I'll give you a view in a minute. Yet again, just heat up the area like so. Now they're in place. So as you can see, soldering is not the neatest, but we've soldered up to AUX, which is the aux, or the common 12 volt positive, and function C, which is F1. So what we do now is give it a little test. So we put the cab lights in, put everything in. We won't clip it down just in case anything gets in the way. And what we do is we test it out and see if it all works. Bit of a different shot, but obviously this is what you get on the actual full illusion. See, I'll try and show you. The rears are probably easier to show. Gives a real good intensity, nothing too much. So yeah, that was the bit of swift light to dark motion. But even when the light's on in here, it still gives a good intensity and still adds a good feature to it. So yeah, that's adding Illuminated Models' cab lights to a Class 56. Probably done 10-15 minutes it took. Well worth it. Go and have a look over at the website. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll crack on with the next how-to video, which will be the directional lighting on this, making it better than what Hornby provided with a LED. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.